Hello, friends. Welcome to this week's episode of Hollywood Matrimony Live. Thank you so much for joining us. We are live on Facebook and YouTube. You can also find us on the Instagram, X, Blue Sky Hive, and of course, on our website, hollywoodmatrimony.com.
Just so aggressive today.
Oh, sorry. I'll back it up.
She came in. What? Oh, it kicked on without me on there. Sorry.
You're always wondering why we're not live. Why are we not live? Well, we're live,
today
buddy.
It kicked on without me even on there.
Well, there you go. Let me.
So I will apologize to anybody that's been to our website lately.
There's a lot of pictures missing.
Yes, because all the files deleted. So I'm having to manually re-enter every single one.
I had nothing to do with this process.
You didn't. I have no idea what happened. I posted an article. All of a sudden,
and our stuff was just gone.
Yeah, everything was gone.
Hi, baby.
So I'm
honestly, doggy kisses.
I have no idea, honestly, what happened to all of them. So I'm slowly having to manually enter every single one because it doesn't. When you go to put it back, it doesn't just re-find it because it's a file remembering. It doesn't put it back. So I have to manually add it back. It's been a major issue.
So you have to upload each image, then go and save it at each place.
Yes. So like even
so you're rebuilding the entire website.
Pretty much. And I've had to do this once before, about 4 years ago. It happened. See, like I just added those back.
A lot of stuff.
So I had to go download them, and now when I publish it, so if you look at it'll be up there now because I just published it. But see, look, that's the way it looked before.
Correct.
And
refreshing all the Godzilla. I'm trying to get all the Godzilla.
And now it's back to that.
Okay.
So I've redone most of the front.
The front page.
There's look, see all the interviews and all this stuff down here at the bottom. Are we off?
No, we're not off. Godzilla's gonna.
Interviews and everything else are missing. The pictures. So, but I also have to go back to figure out what interviews are because a lot of these they don't tell me what it was. So if I don't remember, I got to click on it and see which one it is. But see, like this, thankfully, it have their names on them.
Yeah.
But that means their pictures are missing from the articles too.
Oh goodness.
So
okay, well,
it's been a whole ordeal. This has been something I haven't done all weekend long.
This sounds horrible, baby. I'm sorry this has happened to you.
Thank you, because you don't help with the site at all. So I appreciate it.
No.
Let me see if it.
I'm just in charge. My idea was having this show.
That's
all I do. Yeah.
Okay, so it looked like. Okay, so this looked like adding those. It fixed every page. So that says, oh, look at this, without telling everybody else. But see, like that.
Oh goodness.
These are all the ones I've added. So yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, let's talk about movies. Things that we do have up.
Yeah, I went back and see. Look, here's our interview page.
Wow, no pictures.
I went back and added all the new stuff so that should all be up and running normal. All the articles are still there.
There's
just the pictures are not there.
I see.
So if you click on a review or you see a picture and you're not there and you click on it, you can still read the review of what we thought of it or whatever. It just doesn't necessarily have the picture. So hopefully I'll get it all fixed.
All right. Tell me about this first movie because I heard you watching it. I heard it. I haven't seen it.
You say that.
I hear everything you watch because you listen to everything very loud.
See, now it's missing, even though I added that one back. Makes no sense.
And I saw it a second ago.
Yeah, it's weird. It doesn't make any sense. So what we're referring to is Watchmen Chapter 1, and you may be thinking there's already a Watchmen movie.
Yeah, I've seen that movie.
Because there is.
Yes.
But basically what has happened is this is actually, for those that didn't know, Watchmen is a DC comic. It kind of changed the way comics were looked at the time. Alan Moore and Dave Gibbons, it's probably one of the most classified as one of the most iconic graphic novels of all time.
Yes.
It kind of put threw the superhero genre on its head and the way it's storytelling. It's a murder mystery. It kind of delves into some real world aspects and psychosis and all this kind of stuff. So anyway, so we've had a TV series of Watchmen, which was fine. But then there's a live action movie that Zack Snyder did, which I really dug. It followed pretty close to the book. I am a fan of the book, but I'm not a hardcore fan like some people. So I'm not as ingrained at it and worried about if they change certain things or that kind of stuff. So what they've done is much like a lot of their other animated films, they're made an animated version, but they've split it into two parts. So it's diving a little deeper into it. It is rated R. It is keeping the tone of what the original book is. The only thing I will say they didn't do is they didn't keep the Dr. Midnight's penis in it.
Okay.
So the blue floating guy with the black panties on.
Yes. Did you wear panties today? Sorry, that was our granddaughter.
Yeah.
She had to ask everyone if they wore panties that day.
The black underwear thing in a lot of places in the book, he's not wearing that.
Right, he's just
his
naked.
penis hanging out. And I believe in the movie he did that a lot too.
Mm-hmm.
But in this, they keep the panty thing on it. There is even a moment where he's like, I have to wear clothes, because they're like, why are you wearing clothes? And they're like, I needed to for the people. I can't just walk around naked, kind of thing. So,
yeah.
But it's another one of those where the animation kind of threw me off at first. I didn't like the tone of it. It was kind of a mashup of a lot of the new animation they've been doing with the DC films that I kind of like now.
Yeah.
And also the style that they did What If.
Yes. Okay.
I didn't dislike it. It just took me a minute to grasp onto it.
I liked it.
I really dug this new version because they, like I said, they kind of stuck to the story. They're keeping all the stuff intact. They kept the adult nature of it. And because it's more than one film, it's allowing it to take its time. It doesn't have to skip over things. And one of the best parts of this entire story has always been Rorschach.
Yes.
For me. I love that character. And this one obviously ends on a cliffhanger, but not in a way where it's like just kind of abrupt. It's just kind of a stop in the issue. It's almost like you come to the issue at the end of an issue of the comic and you wait for the next issue, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But the next one's going to come out later this year, so it's not like I'm wait
so
that
you're
long.
not having to wait a super long time.
But I really enjoyed it. It's well done. It's I think it does it honors the source material. It's much like the other animated features they've made. They've taken some heart to it. They're really trying to do it justice. I would like to see or hear someone's opinion that's like a massive fan.
Yeah.
I have one friend, my friend Cole, who's a massive fan, so I'm waiting for him to watch it so that he can tell me what he thinks, because he's very much, he will fight you about Watchmen. Like when they brought Watchmen back a few years back in the DC universe, but this time they actually blended it into the world with Batman and Superman, and before this kind of stood on its own. It didn't really connect with them. They did the Doomsday Clock, and they did all this stuff that was kind of connected to it. I liked a lot of it, but it also kind of missed the point of Watchmen, and I know he wasn't a fan of that. So anyway, if you're a fan of Watchmen, I think you'll enjoy it. But again, as someone who's not obsessive compulsive about all things Watchmen, I couldn't tell you if you would hate elements of it. I think they captured it. I also haven't read the book in years.
Yeah, I was going to say, does it closely follow it?
It does. It's like I can remember the movie too, and the movie very closely follows the book. This one very closely seems to follow both, and I think probably captures the essence of the comic more. But again, I haven't sat down and read that book in years, so there could be things that I've missed that I don't remember. And I also was a late bloomer to that one. I wasn't a fan of that book initially.
And then on this one, are any of the voices any kind of overlap of the movie, or just completely different?
No, it's all different stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's.
I don't know.
It has nothing to do with the live action movie. It's its own thing.
I got you.
Yeah, it kind of sets its own world. I will be interested to see after they do these first two, if they continue it by doing the Doomsday Clock stuff to incorporate it into the other stuff, because it is an opportunity now of, hey, we've done the Watchmen, now we can do the follow-up to the Watchmen, because it is all canon to the DC universe.
Correct.
The other thing every time they do something with Watchmen,
watch this.
Huh?
I should watch
You
this,
should,
because I do like all the DC.
Yeah, I think you'll enjoy it some, because this one, like I said, it's more of a murder mystery.
I remember the movie.
Yeah, so the premise of the movie, if you don't know, is it's 1985. It's like an alternate world of heroes or something, and the comedian, which is a Punisher-esque hero, is murdered. And this is kind of in present day. And then it's causing, like, a lot of the superheroes are kind of gone now. And so there was like this old school Justice League esque type group that now I don't remember the name of them. But Rorschach, he's the only one that's still running around as
actively.
Yeah, but he's like a very violent detective. It's kind of like Batman if you stripped him down just to a detective.
Gotcha.
But he's also borderline insane.
Yeah.
And so he's trying to kill the comedian, because he sees it's going to start killing other old heroes.
Okay.
So it's like an old school group of people that disappeared. So you're flashing back and forth of the bad stuff that happened and then the new stuff that's going on. So you have some of the characters like Silk. Is it just Silk? I don't remember these freaking characters' names now. Anyway, the younger version you see in this one, her mom was in the original group but was raped by the comedian, and so there's a whole element of that. And then she's hostile, and then there's people that miss the hero stuff, and then there's the story of Dr. Midnight, and he's like almost like a god, and who is doing the murder and who's killing these people. So they bring in some old super villains that are retired. They're like he went and saw this one guy that was arch enemy, so he's like, why would he come see you? This guy's like all frail. He goes, I don't know, he just showed up and I thought he was gonna kill me, and then he was like crying, and it's just weird, kind of like a real world thing. It's like what happens when nobody wants your heroes anymore, but then they're old and they start dying off, and then somebody's killing somebody, and this villain's like, you're still known as a villain, but you're just a plumber now, or whatever it is, you know. It's a very interesting look at the superhero genre. If you've never read the book, you should highly read the book. But this movie, I think, does a good job. It's a good introduction into it. And again, I would love to hear people's opinions. I'd love to hear your opinion since you have no connection to this. You probably don't even remember the movie.
I kind of remember the movie.
You probably remember more of its existence than the movie itself.
Yeah. And I don't know. Should I go watch the movie? Probably not. Just watch this.
We'll watch either one. But at this point, you go watch this
I'm just going to watch this.
The movie, and I'm wondering if they have the line it's going to be in the second film, because I don't remember if it's in the book, but I'm pretty sure it is. It's one of my favorite lines of all time, and it's Rorschach is fighting people in prison. And they're like, you know, the guy says something to the effect of, you're locked in here with us. And he's like, I'm not locked in here with you. You're locked in here with me. And then he commences to just beat the crap out of everybody. So anyway, I really enjoyed this one. I can't wait for the second one. It is getting me that vibe, so I want to go read the book again. So I may do that.
Okay.
Watchmen Chapter 1 is available now on the Blu-ray, DVD, 4K. And if you go to our website at
HollywoodMatrimony.com,
we're giving away copies of it.
Ooh, free stuff. I love free stuff.
And it does lean into its rated R rating, as it should, because this story would be wrong if you tried to treat it with a non-R rating.
Yeah.
What's next, sister?
Next, we are talking about the #1 movie on Netflix this week, Rebel Ridge.
Rebel Ridge.
Rebel Ridge. That's like a tongue twister.
What is Rebel Ridge about? I didn't write a review on it.
Okay, so Rebel Ridge is the story. All it tells you, an ex-Marine is on his way through a small town, which we find out is corrupt. He's trying to post bail for a cousin, and due to the corrupt cops and this police chief, things go very, very awry, and they don't know who they're messing with.
Do we ever?
They never know. They do not know. So, what did you think? Because this thing is crazy.
I'm hit and miss on it.
Okay.
I did thoroughly enjoy it more because it wasn't a movie I had any interest in seeing, but I did enjoy it more than I thought. I felt like initially it was going to be one of those kind of just cheap, straight-to-video actioners. You know, I knew Don Johnson was in it,
right?
You know, but most of the other casts are relative, you know, not star power quality kind of. You know, this guy's been in some other things, but it wasn't anybody that I go, ooh, I want to see that kind of thing.
Originally, it was supposed to be John Boyega. And due to scheduling issues, they had to find someone else.
I got you.
Yeah.
Did you research?
I did some research.
That's a first.
Yeah. He left the project in 2021. I think there was some issues, and it was still COVID times. So, yeah, that's what happened. So now we have this man who is Aaron Pierce.
And he's good in the movie.
He's good. I was trying to see. He was in the movie Old. Brother. Underground Railroad. Why do I know him? I think because probably of Old. Anyways, he's good in it. He's fine. I think he did a really good job. So
it is very much still the straight to video type actioner.
Action.
It's not anything you really haven't seen before.
Corrupt cops, the white cops dealing. What am I trying to say? Treating the black guy incorrectly, but they don't realize, first of all,
who they're dealing with.
That's
where the cliche element comes in for me. Like, I loved it because I loved where they went with it.
He just happens to be an MCMAP instructor for the Marines, which
do you want to spoil that?
Oh, well, they tell you that.
Do they?
Yeah.
Well, they do in the movie, but I don't know if
sorry.
it doesn't matter.
I won't tell you anything else.
You can kind of tell when you go to watch it that the guy's probably going to be some sort of badass.
He was kind of jacked.
You know, he's going to be.
And he's got all these tattoos. And
I will say I like that it just kind of dives into it.
Yeah.
Like the movie just starts with them riding a bicycle, and then the incident happens, and then it just moves forward.
Correct. We just go for it.
I was kind of. I think the problem with the movie, and when I say problem, it's not really a problem. It works fine. I think it's trying to be so much of a mystery and twists and turns and how they pull it off. I think sometimes it loses its pace, because one minute you're like, okay, where's this going? Oh, who's he dealing with and what's really going on? And then it kind of goes back into the cliche white man versus black man thing, which is fine. But then it turns into like, okay, this person's random. Like she's like abruptly is helping him, you know, this lady. And then, so there's a lot of these elements that are times of convenience. Then it seems like it stretches itself out a little too long sometimes. I think the movie was longer than it needed to be for what the story was.
It could have been trimmed maybe 30 minutes or so. There was a little bit of extra, I don't know, just watching her or dealing with the cops talking about nonsense, or just watching him ride his bike, which could have been trimmed down just a tiny bit.
Well, and I felt like some of that felt like they were trying to set up something that went nowhere.
Yeah, like I don't know if it was like the relationship with him and this lady.
Well, it felt more like they were trying to build different storylines for her.
Like for her, which, I mean, her story was important, but I don't know that necessarily we needed to go into all that with her for her to team up with him.
No, she could have just told the story and then we could have moved on.
Yes, but that's okay. It was fun. I didn't have any major issues with it. I think there were a few parts where it slowed down because it did jump into it. Suddenly the cops get him, all this stuff happens, bloody, this mystery intrigue with this lady, then this stuff happens, and then it's him riding his bike again for a few minutes. And I'm just like, okay. So it's a little stop and go. But overall, I thought it was really good. I thought this guy was really good. Don Johnson's good at being a bad guy.
Yeah, Don Johnson's good at being a racist.
Being a kind of a jerk.
He's good at being a racist. He was a racist in Machete. I think it was Machete, too.
Yeah.
No, I agree. It is a good movie. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I think on the action side, it sets up a lot of stuff and doesn't do a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like there's some decent action moments. Like there's when you finally get to meet who he is.
That's why I know.
From a standpoint of the military, martial arts, whatever.
Yeah.
That scene's fantastic. The way he's talking and the way he delivers it. And then it becomes, you know, he's the guy that doesn't want to use guns.
Right.
Never uses guns. So some of the stuff you have to kind of buy, like, okay, that's a little unbelievable. And then there's a lot of little twists of trying to say, like, you know, there's somebody else that may help or may not, or who's feeling a certain way and not feeling a certain way. And there's, you know, it kind of goes back and forth sometimes with not being a lot of explanation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's like that one character that you think is kind of on his side. Then it kind of betrays him, but then it's on his side again. It doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah, you don't really know.
Is this girl the one that was the surfer with one arm movie?
Yeah, so that's what I was just looking up. I'm like, why do I know Anna Sophia Robb?
Yeah.
She's from Soul Surfer. She's from the way back, and some of you may know her from the Carrie Diaries, which is the young version of what's her name? Sarah Jessica Parker, Sex and the City. So there you go. I thought it was a good movie. It is the #1 movie on Netflix, so everyone else is watching it, whether they're not or they like it.
And that doesn't mean it's good. That just means people are watching it.
People are watching it. So
it's worth checking out. It's like I said, it's a very kind of generic action, thriller, mystery, whatever you want to call it. It's worth watching if you're just sitting at home and looking for something to check out.
Yep, there you go. Okay, and that takes us to the #2 movie on Netflix this week, The Deliverance.
Okay.
Now, this got us into a big discussion.
Not a discussion we haven't had before.
No, I know, but we'll see what everyone else thinks. So, Deliverance.
We're not going to get into that discussion.
Stars Andrew Day and Glenn Close. I think people are really praising Glenn Close and her performance in this because it's.
I think it's a mix of her performance and then people being like I've seen a lot. I think I was telling you, I saw a lot of memes where people are like, "We've all got one of these in our family."
Yeah, maybe so. So basically the story, this is supposedly based on a true story of a family who moves into a house and strange occurrences begin to take place. and the lady's children begin to exhibit some very strange, disturbing behavior, some violence in the house, mysterious bruises and injuries, and just overall crazy behavior. We have Monique, who is the rep from Child Protective Services, who comes out every week to check on the kids, and mysterious bruises keep appearing on the children. And they're like, what is this mom doing? Because the mother does have a history of alcoholism.
I think in violence.
And
too.
violence. Yeah. And so does the mother. However, the mother has now found Jesus. So she said, Jesus saved me, and everything's A-okay.
Glenn Close is the mother, which is already the first thing of like, wait, what?
Yes. So that's where we're at with this story. Okay, what are your issues? Because I know you have.
So I'm hit and miss on this movie because the movie is uneven. So we kind of, I jokingly said, this is kind of Black Exorcist, or, and I don't mean it as racist. It's a film focusing on a Black family.
Yeah, and I was saying
more Amityville. You're correct.
A Black house.
This is not Deliverance, like
Black family.
The banjos and the hillbillies.
No, not that.
It's not that Deliverance. Well, that's a better movie.
I mean, let me read the actual synopsis. I apologize. This is a Lee Daniels movie, which to me is curious, so we'll talk about that. But it says an Indiana family discovers strange demonic occurrences that convince them and their community that the house is a portal to hell. I did not get any of that from this movie. But the description gives me Amity vibes.
I got the portal to hell thing from the description of what happened at the end.
Okay, maybe like for 1 minute.
But that in lies where my problem is in this whole movie. Like, I found the first half of the movie, it's focusing on the dysfunction of this family, the trying to rebuild of the family, the problems, the financial issues. It's dealing with this whole family being poor and the abuse in their life and the single parent and the abuse problems, all that stuff made for a compelling story. And then they start bringing in the mystery of what's really going on and these people's behaviors. And that all worked together very well. It was hard to tell, is she seeing things because of her problems? Are these people actually seeing things?
Right.
It got kind of creepy. It did a good job of planting the mysteries of this basement. Was somebody murdered? Did something else happen? You get all this stuff. When it finally gets to, I guess you could say, the supernatural element of what's going on and the explanations and the twists and all this, it felt like it became a different movie. So I felt like we were in the middle of something, and then it said, oh, wait, we're supposed to be doing this kind of movie. And next thing, the whole last act isn't bad. It just felt like a different movie to me. And to me, it didn't work. Again, not in a bad way. I wasn't bored by it. I felt like this was another one that was too long. It could have been trimmed up. But it just felt like, okay, this isn't what we were watching.
Right.
It reminded me a little bit of the Fantastic Four movie that they made, where the first half of the movie is science fiction interesting, and somebody goes, oh, crap, we're making a superhero movie. Okay, superheroes. And it doesn't work.
I kind of agree, yes. I think, though, too, yeah. The buildup feels like something different. And in retrospect, you can see the moments where we're starting to see the weird behavior of the kids and like, oh, this could have been some possession things. I don't think this is the type of things Lee Daniels should be doing. I'm not trying to be mean.
No, but I understand what you're saying.
I think if this had been in the hands of a horror director and we had taken some of the moments with the kids into a very horror aspect with better music and better maybe styling or something, it would have had a different tone that would have made more sense to the ending.
I agree, but I also disagree. I don't think Lee Daniels' aspect of working on this movie would have made a difference in somebody else's hands. I think the story they're telling in this movie doesn't connect together to what they were trying to do with it. Now, had they gone away where it left it more ambiguous, where it's like, because when you go on these real life, because based on true events, these real life things of possessions and all these things, there's elements that can be explained. A lot of times. You're like, people explain away it was this and this. I think if they had gone that way and not leaned so much into the Exorcist level possessions, where it's very clear what's going on, then I think it would have had a better chance of working with what they set up before. What happens is you're setting up an interesting character piece, in my opinion, and study of dealing with all that stuff and kind of being, because of all your problems, you're kind of being the perfect catalyst to welcome these kind of things into your home and into your soul. And then it became a kind of a mockery of itself by saying, let's be a very generic horror film in the second half.
Well, and I think too, if you go read the actual story of the Devil House in Indiana, there were more things that led up to the end occurrence that I think they could have put in there. Like supposedly, she kept hearing sounds and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, at one point, I think she sees a shadowy figure, but in the real case, the lady saw boot prints. So we could have done that. Would have been creepy.
Well, and that's what here's what it is. This movie was Hollywood-fied.
I know. And if
when they say based on, then they just take an idea and they run with it. So, all the last act of this movie never happened.
Yes.
Because nothing ever happens to that level. That's why I'm saying if they leaned a little more into a realistic approach instead of trying to go for the scares, trying to go for, hey, this is a horror film. Let it be a horror film instead of trying to make it a horror film.
Yeah. But I mean, there were several things, like something happened to the daughter. The older son got thrown across the room. So I feel if we had had more of that buildup, and at one point, like a child psychologist came out, and the police came out, then the protective services lady came out. So I think if we had had a little bit more buildup, and then suddenly the weird pastor lady shows up out of anywhere. Well, she was contacted because the family hired her because the first church, remember, Glenn Close's first church was like, yeah, we don't do that. So then she went to the next one. It wasn't this lady lurking outside their house. So,
yeah, they made her creepy.
Yeah.
And they were trying to make another mystery out of it.
But I think, I don't know. It's an okay movie, but I get where you're saying. It's like two separate things, and I wish they had meshed a little bit more, but I wish we had had more creepiness during the build-up to make it blend into the final scenes. I'm okay with the final scenes. I'm okay with everything else. I think I
will say this. A lot of the stuff in the final scene are cool. There's some great visual moments and stuff. It's not bad in a way like it's done bad.
Right.
I just didn't feel like it fit.
Yeah. And
again, when the movie's over, I didn't go, that movie sucked.
You were just like,
it was just like, it's a movie. It was kind of like, don't care. I wouldn't watch it again. And it kind of gave me the vibes of what I thought it was going to give me in the first place.
Yeah.
I wasn't excited to watch this movie in the first place. I saw the trailers for it. I'm so hit and miss on possession movies anyway.
I know you are.
Because most of them are the same crap. But that's hard to do something different with possession movies, because possession movie is a possession movie.
That's what happens.
Yeah. And so all you do is the same thing over and over and over. And it's hard to find different, like at least with like slasher flicks, you get a little more variance, even though it's the same movie, because you can change what the killer looks like or their motives or how they do it. Possession movies are always kind of the same thing. So it's what is the world you're building around them? Yeah. And how deep do you lean into it?
Yeah, and I didn't.
I think had they leaned into more of that, like some of the stuff you're saying, and or the buildup of the haunting and stuff and this stuff early on, instead of making it very like obscure, then it might have merged into the other stuff better. Yeah. I think like I said, the first two acts of this movie I think are really well done.
It just didn't connect.
The end of it is well done.
The end of it's fine.
It's just a different movie.
Separate things.
Yeah.
And I think too, there was an opportunity for the Monique character at one point. She's like, well, what did I just see? Like, we could have brought her into it too, to give it a little bit more validity of what had been happening with the family. Like, she sees it now. Well, why wasn't she involved? I don't know. Somebody wrote that basically this was the leftovers of what was left from The Exorcist in Amityville.
But it's kind of true. It feels like this could have easily been an Exorcist sequel.
Yeah.
They could have just said that, or an Amityville sequel, like you said, just another variation of the same story.
Yeah.
They didn't do anything
new. I believe these things can happen. I believe there's haunted houses, sure.
And that's fine. It's just...
But...
Again, the genre is very hard to do something new with.
I'm just telling you, I just don't think this should have been a horror director. Or more, it should have been more horror than...
Well, and my argument, I know what you're saying, because,
Because I think just cinematically, like, if you do, like...
But see, that's sometimes why it works, because if you get someone who is more of a dramatic filmmaker, they can sometimes capture that essence of tone and visual stuff to bring that creepy nature to it.
And I know he likes to tell true stories, you know, the Black experience, true life based on, you know, and it's a true story about a Black family. So
Yeah,
I understand where he's coming from.
Yeah.
But I'm also seeing a different vision of the movie. I should have directed it myself. That's all there is to
If
it.
you think that's what should have
Yep.
done, you think that was the solution?
That's the solution.
Wow.
But the best thing I think is Glenn Close and Audra Day, and then them together, because you can see the toxic relationship between the two, and how the mother is now trying to change and to be different, and the lady, the daughter's like,
I just like seeing Glenn Close in this because it's a different thing.
It's like, you made me this way. This is you, and they just they love each other, but they don't, and it's just it's complicated.
But just seeing her in a different kind of role.
Yes, I love seeing that.
But not that I doubt she could do it. It just you just don't expect her in this kind of thing.
And that's why I liked her. This is the best
she's
thing
really
about
is good in the movie.
All right, moving on.
Moving on.
Is this the #1 movie?
It is the #1 movie.
The #1 movie right now. Beetlejuice Beetlejuice. Don't say it again. Oh Lord.
My man. The juice is loose.
Okay, the juice is back.
He'll probably fall down because he doesn't stand up very well.
In the sequel to Mr. Juice, as we will call him.
We're going to call him Mr. Juice?
Yes, because that's what they call him in the underworld to avoid calling him.
So if you're one of the weirdos that hasn't seen Beetlejuice.
The original?
Yeah, the original.
And what year did that come out, Lord?
It came out 1990.
Long time ago. Well, some people weren't alive. It was interesting when we
1988.
When we came into the theater, I don't know if you heard the man that was walking in with us. He's like, "Oh, it's all the older folks are coming to see this." I said, "Yeah, because younger people probably have no idea who this is."
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of following. Yeah, the first one came out in 1988.
Ooh.
This is the movie outside of like Edward Scissorhands. It made me a lifelong Tim Burton fan. I think Edward Scissorhands and Beetlejuice are two of the most Tim Burton movies ever. And, you know, I think him and Michael Keaton just make magic.
Yeah.
But I think what most people don't realize, and even I, on some level, didn't pay attention, like, Beetlejuice is not in the movies that much in the original.
Not at all.
I think you said they have like 15 minutes screen time.
Yeah.
But that's what makes him worse, because he's a character that works better in small doses. And we've been wanting sequels for this movie for years. I know they've talked about it. There was an animated series. I think there was a Broadway show or something, or some kind of stage production at some point.
Wow.
I believe. I could be wrong. It may not be Broadway. It may have just been some random show somebody did.
Beetlejuice the musical. Yes.
Okay, yeah, I thought there was.
TV series, which was that animated series,
yeah,
right?
And then I know when Michael Keaton was talking about doing this, like I was just watching an interview with him, and he was saying he had specific rules. What?
It's called Beetlejuice the musical, the musical, the musical.
I think people have just been watching it recently. I think it's fairly new. I think we saw numerous people that went and saw it.
Oh wow. Yeah, I think so.
But anyway, I saw an interview with him, and he was saying there was a few stipulations of doing the new one.
Oh, really?
And he said, one, they had to stay as practical as possible. They didn't want a bunch of CGI.
I agree.
He said one of the mistakes with sequels, which I've always agreed with, is they try to expand it and say, oh, everybody loved this, let's do more. And he goes, I wanted to still maintain, he goes, while I get a little more screen time this time around than I did the first time, they still minimized his screen time.
Yeah.
Where he's not the front and center part of the story. It's the living characters that kind of delve into it. And then also they wanted to have a good script. And he's like, he even said kind of what you said, and I don't necessarily disagree, that he actually likes this one a little bit better. He says because there's a little more story to it, there's a little more heart to it, there's just a little more depth this time around than the first. The first movie I think is brilliant. It's beautiful. It's fantastic. It's weird. It's quirky. It's nonsensical. But there's not a big story to that movie. It's two people that die. Other people want to move in their house. They want them to leave. That's the whole story.
Yeah.
You know, and so this one dives a little more into Beetlejuice's backstory, very little. But then it also now dealing with the dysfunction of the family, but also the repercussions of living through the previous film so many years ago, which I always like when they do that because they don't just ignore that kind of thing.
Correct. I think that's one of the things I liked about this one was that the mom is like, oh no, don't say the name. Catherine O'Hara, she's, because even in the first one, she was like, whatever, this is crazy. But she realizes he's real. So she's like, don't say it.
Yeah, because she lived through the nonsense of the first movie.
Yeah, like she can't see him.
And she's fantastic in this one.
She's awesome. So as we found out in the first one, what's her name?
Winona Ryder.
Lydia can see ghosts, right? No one else can. They thought she was crazy. Well, with everything that happened, they now believe her. She can still see ghosts for whatever reason she can. And she has now turned that into her business. She has a TV show where she talks to people and goes through their house where they're living in houses where there's dead people and tries to help them and resolve their issues. So that's her job. She's got this crazy boyfriend who's just trying to live off her money, which we can all see, but she doesn't see. And her daughter had just like, you'd rather spend time with dead people than me. And then, of course, her stepmom, Catherine O'Hara, who is awesome and still doing her crazy art projects.
And Justin Theroux is the boyfriend.
So crazy.
He's kind of the replacement for Otho, the hefty guy that was the designer in the first movie.
Yes.
He's kind of this version of Otho.
Fun. Yes.
Glenn Shaddix, who I love, who is also he's the guy that's like the second in command for Demolition Man.
Yes.
Walk around in his robe. He passed away a few years back.
Oh, that's too bad.
But Justin Theroux, he's a little more sinister than Otho was. Otho was just a douchebag. He's just a douche.
He's like, I envision.
Yeah, he didn't have like
lilac or
even though he's the one that stole the book in the first movie and all this stuff. Yes. He wasn't so much a bad guy as he was just a douchey, selfish guy.
Kind of a jerk.
This guy is a little more of a bad guy, if you will.
Yeah.
I like that. Like with this new story, you have Lydia's daughter.
Yeah.
Who, while she has vibes very much of her mother, she's complete opposite. Yeah. She doesn't. She's kind of like the mom in the first movie.
Yeah, she doesn't believe it. Go. She's like, why would you spend time doing that and spending time with me? You don't even love me.
And there's a whole thing of the dad in this situation has passed away, and she's more mad, I think, about not her mom seeing stuff that her mom never sees the dad. And so if you can see everybody, why can't I see my dad? Kind of thing.
Correct. And I think that's one of those things. I bet that really happens. I know you don't believe in these things necessarily, but in some of the talk shows and things where I see like mediums and people that can talk to the dead, they can never channel for themselves. It's all because their gift is for other people.
Well, they can never channel anybody that anybody wants to see. They can only see the randoms.
Well,
that's what happened. That's how you know it's all nonsense.
No, I don't believe it's nonsense, but okay.
You just believe. You're just the most gullible person I've ever
I'm not. I believe that the spiritual world is real. Now, do I want to talk to the dead? No, of course not, because I don't want to do all that. But
I love you, but Jesus.
I believe that yes, Jesus is real too.
Don't bring Jesus into this
conversation. Jesus is real. He knows.
Jesus would not be happy listening to you talk about this.
He knows it's real.
Anyway. But all your religion people are against the mediums and believing
that's why I said I don't want to talk to them, but I believe they can do stuff.
Anyway, you weirdo. So this new movie it's a little bit. I love this new movie.
I liked it better than the first one,
and that is acceptable because I also know you're one outside of not being a fan of the first one. You had no dogs in that race. You didn't care one way or another. Part of the reason I know that she doesn't like the first one, whether she admits or not, she doesn't like anything there's chaos.
It's too chaotic.
So if you watch this movie like Beetlejuice, Cat in the Hat.
Cat in the Hat is so stressful.
I'm surprised you like anything with minions, but maybe because it's a cartoon, it's okay.
Yeah, and because I know it's not real. Cat in the Hat could happen. Beetlejuice could happen. He's an evil spirit that could cause torment in your life.
You know, you say things that are smart.
I don't know. I mean, Minions does sometimes bother me, but I think because then at the end he's like, oh, banana.
She likes order.
It's funny.
Which baffles me because she cleans nothing, but she likes order mostly in her like business world.
Everything's organized
and like this, and so I know for a fact when I see a movie and there's chaos in the movie or people messing up stuff or destroying stuff,
stressful.
She's going to be bothered by it.
A little stressful.
So I grasp why you aren't connected to the first Beetlejuice movie because that movie is nothing but chaos and disorder. This one, again, with a little more story.
There's a little more story to it. And I really like the relationship now between the three ladies dealing with obviously some, I don't want to go into like generational trauma, but it's Beetlejuice ghost trauma that they've all had to deal with, and then the loss of her father and the mother not talking about the father. She's like, why don't you talk about it? Bloody, bloody. And then the loss of her father. So Catherine O'Hara's husband is gone.
Which is a
We need to talk
probably one of the smartest aspects of this film. So Jeffrey Jones is not back in this movie.
Poor thing.
And without going into deep detail of why, if you don't know why Jeffrey Jones, who played the dad in the original movie, who I was a huge fan of back then, he did a lot of great movies with Howard the Duck and Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and
I like Ferris Bueller.
Ravenous, which is one of my favorite movies he's got a part in. There's some child pornography things.
Let it go.
That I'm pretty sure he was convicted of certain things, so he's kind of out, right? Mm-hmm. So I was curious on how were they going to deal with this in the movie. From the trailer, I always assumed that the funeral they're at in the trailer is his.
And we're done.
It's an easy write-off. They could have easily just said, he passed away, let's move on. To my surprise, he's very much in the movie, but he's not in the movie at all.
Great gag.
Yeah,
love it.
Jeffrey Jones himself is not in the movie outside of a photograph. But they do a stop motion animation element, which is not a surprise because Tim Burton loves stop motion animation. There's a great gag of the afterlife of him and how they make it work without him being in the movie. So for those of that are like, I don't want to watch if he's involved. He's not involved at all.
It's okay.
But they keep the character alive, which was a very smart. Tim Burton is brilliant in the way he pulled that off because he's very much part of the movie without ever being in the movie.
Yeah. So, I thought that was good.
You what?
I thought that was really good.
Yeah. And I think it's an important element of the movie because it's the catalyst of why they even come back together and, a lot of the other little things. And it also gives Catherine O'Hara's character a bigger journey than just sitting back and being, crazy. In the first movie, she just kind of sits around. She's the naysayer. She's the annoying mom, whatever. And she's only brought into the fold when the chaos really happens to everyone. Mm-hmm. This one, she gets to actually get in on the fun.
Correct. And she's a lot of fun in this. I really liked her in this time. She did so much more.
Yeah.
And then we're both, we're sitting there, and the credits are rolling. And so, at the beginning, it's like, dun, 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 dun. Michael Keaton, bloody, 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 bloody. And then whose name would appear? Monica Bellucci comes up.
I knew she was in it.
No, and then we're both like,
well, I'm pretty sure she's dating Tim Burton.
Okay, well, we are not Monica Bellucci fans. So
she's good in the movie.
Because she doesn't talk very much.
But I will say that I think this was also Tim Burton's chance to bring, oh my God, I just went blank. The lady from Nightmare Before Christmas merged with the Corpse Bride to life.
Yeah.
This was Sally. Bringing Sally and the Corpse Bride both to life into one character in live action without it being that character.
Yeah, it's just like I was just like
I actually liked her character in this. What her point was, and every time she does what she does to the people, it's hilarious.
Yes,
because you cracked up the first time.
I did.
And then I thought, okay, it'll be one time, and then they kept doing it. There's a great cameo in the opening sequence, one of the opening sequences of the movie. I also love we get to spend a little more time in the afterlife.
Yes, that was fun to me to get there, and not as much time with the dang sandworms. We got too much of that in the first one. We get a little in this, but because you got to know, I was in there like sandworms, but
I like that Bob got a bigger part.
I love Bob. Bob is the
Bob
best.
was a one-off gag in the first movie, and now he's a major character.
Yeah.
Even get a credit at the end of the film as Bob.
Who is Bob?
Bob is nobody. Bob is just a puppet thing.
Okay, but does somebody?
I'm sure somebody's working around at Bob.
See who Bob is.
Anyway,
that's important to me. Anyways, I really enjoyed the movie.
Willem Dafoe was a fun addition. He's kind of a detective trying to solve things, but he's a detective in the afterlife who was a previous action star or something. Is that what they described it?
Yes, an action star that's now in the afterlife, continuing his journey.
But he keeps
detective action
doing his scenes and stuff. It's just really funny.
Yeah,
he's totally useless, completely a useless character in this movie. He doesn't do a lot, but he's fun.
He is fun.
And one of the things about these movies, like you can look at this movie and be like, this movie's silly and goofy and cheesy, and it's what's with these props and these visuals, but that's part of the fun of it. It's almost like a kids movie, but not a kids movie. Kind of. That's why it works so well to be an animated series. It is what it is. So it takes everything that was great about the first one, it builds on it without going overboard, and I think created a really, really well done sequel that's worthy of being a sequel. Is not just a money grab. Okay, fans here. It felt like it had something to say.
Yeah.
That felt like it had purpose.
Yep. It was good.
Would you watch it again?
Yes. This one I would.
You
not the first
you
one.
can't watch this one without watching the first one.
I don't want to watch the
You
first
have
one.
to. They're
I already watched the first one this last week.
That's fine, but if you're going to watch this one again, you got to rewatch the first one.
No.
It's packaged.
Okay, then I won't watch it.
Okay.
That's how much I don't like the first one.
That is just dumb. The first one is so good.
It's not good, babe. It's boring.
It is
There's
not
nothing
boring.
to it.
What is boring about it?
The whole thing. There's nothing happening in that
No,
movie.
but the stuff happening in that movie's nonstop. You were too busy watching toenail videos.
No, I was paying attention. There's
The first
nothing
movie is
happens.
fantastic.
There's no.
There's
real
a billion
emotion
people
to
that think
it.
you're wrong.
Okay, well, I'm sorry.
I've seen the things you like. Nobody can trust your judgment.
All right, well, check this out. It is in theaters now.
The only thing I want out of this movie is I would be totally happy if they never make another one, but I want a third one just so we can get all three Beetlejuices. So it can be Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice.
But you can't say
and
it.
then Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice,
You're not
Beetlejuice.
supposed to say it all.
I know, but I want to see it where it would be great to have a trilogy so the last one is all three of them. So, and I think it is a genius title to use that play on that. So, and then there's a lot of the costumes it brought back. The movie's fantastic. I love this movie. It will be on one of my top in the year.
Oh, we hope it makes it. We'll see.
We'll see. I have a long list already.
I know.
So there's already a bunch I know what's coming off. They were like filler because I hadn't seen anything. I'm like, hey, this is fun. This will stay on here. Probably not.
Yeah.
Anyway,
And you're so good. You keep your list through the year.
I do.
I do a last minute,
I know. Then you're like, oh, it's almost the end of the year.
It is almost the end of the year. I better go start my list now.
And Beetlejuice was the number 1 movie of the year.
Of the week.
Of the week. Sorry. Just like we did not have 56,000 more hours. We were watching a movie earlier and we stopped it to go take a nap. She thought it had 56 more weeks. She goes, there's 56 more hours of this?
56 minutes.
I'm like, well, I'm not watching this movie either. What is this, Bollywood?
Yes.
This movie opened at $110 million, which is more than the original movie made in its entire run.
Wow.
But it did say it's not only the 3rd best opening weekend of the year, but one of Tim Burton's biggest ever.
Oh, good for Tim Burton.
I think only behind Alice in Wonderland. It said the original movie only took in $8 million on its opening weekend.
Oh, wow.
So for comparison. So I'm glad to see it. And Michael Keaton seems to be loved doing this character.
Yeah.
He seems to be having a blast, and it's got some great interviews out of it. I bet you can't guess what number 2 was still.
Is it going to be... I hope it's not that movie with what's her name about the abused lady.
Nope.
Then Wolverine. Deadpool.
It's still Deadpool and Wolverine.
I want to go see that again.
Okay, I'll go see it again, which has crossed $27 billion now.
My sweet dog.
Number 3, which is very surprising, is Reagan.
Oh, really?
I don't know how much it's made so far, but it's
the Ronald Reagan movie?
Yeah. Alien Romulus is still up there, and then it ends with us is still in the top 10.
Okay.
What did they say fell off? The top 10 are Beetlejuice, Deadpool, Wolverine, Reagan, Alien, Romulus. It ends with us. The Forge is number 6. Twister's still up there. Blink Twice is still on there. Despicable Me 4 and The Front Room. The Front Room is that Brandy movie, I think.
Oh, I want to see that.
But it only made I think it's made like $1 million total.
Oh, I want to see that.
Another major bomb.
Well,
I have no interest in that movie, but I'll watch it if you want.
Yeah, it's another one, kind of a creepy kind of possession demon thing. Okay. I lost you on that one. Well, if there's something you want to watch, I might go watch that while you're watching something else.
Who knows? Well, I mean, there is a couple movies coming out this week. Because you have the Killer's Game coming out, that Dave Bautista action movie with Scott Adkins.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about it here in a second.
I know. So anyway, but
tell me about what's coming out.
There's a variety of stuff coming out this week. Knuckles, the TV series on Paramount Plus spinoff from the Sonic Hedgehog movies, is coming out. The Walking Dead, The One Who Lived, season 1, which is the spinoff one with Rick and Michonne. I don't know if you even know they got their own series.
I didn't. Now you've spoiled what happened in the other one. I haven't finished the other one yet.
I haven't either, but Inside Out 2, I believe, is finally getting the...
Our daughter-in-law finally watched Inside Out 1 and 2. Thank God. We only harassed her about it for a week.
Horizon American Saga Chapter 1 is getting a Blu-ray DVD release. The original Strangers movie is getting a 4K release. Kill, which we loved, the Indian action movie on a train. It's getting a limited edition, steelbook 4K release. The Super Friends Complete Series is coming out to DVD, which features not only the Super Friends, but Challenge of the Super Friends, and all the other ones that have ever been made. They're all in one big collection for the first time.
Nice.
Long Legs is coming to 4K and Blu-ray.
Hope you've watched that one.
And the Late Night with the Devil is also coming out, which we also loved. I think that's pretty much it.
All right.
That's all the big stuff. And Evening Kevin Smith is getting a new Blu-ray release.
Coming out of the theater or on the line. Let's see this week. Where are we? Coming out on Tuesday, September 10th, there's a movie called The Nana Project. And it's a comedy. Yes. These kids' Nana is on their way to a chess championship. And
Nana.
Nana.
I thought you said the Banana Project.
The Nana. Like somebody's Nana. Like me, I'm a Nana.
I get that now, but I even repeated the Banana Project and you said yes. So that's why you confused me.
Nana is heading to a chess championship, and it's a heartwarming comedy with her and her grandsons. Coming out on Thursday, September 12th, God is Not Dead Part 5. If you've been watching the God is Not Dead series.
That stupid series not over yet?
It's not over yet.
Those are not good.
Some people don't think it's stupid, so please don't say
They're just not good movies, though. Forget the God aspect. The movies are just not good.
Well, this is Part 5, In God We Trust. Dean Cain's in it.
Who?
Dean Cain.
Yeah, screw that guy.
Okay, coming out on theaters also on Thursday. The new documentary on Usher, Rendezvous in Paris. It's like a concert film, if you want to watch that.
Never, I'm thinking something.
Coming out to Netflix, Into the Fire, The Lost Daughter. This is a documentary. It says, with Charlize Theron somehow. A mother discovers the daughter she gave up for adoption many years ago has disappeared, and she's on her way to find her. So I don't know, is she like hosting this or what's happening? We'll find out. Okay. Go back. Maybe she's just producing. Who knows? All right. Coming out on Friday. I know you're excited about this in theaters. Transformers 1. This is the new animated feature of Transformers. Are we watching all the Transformers this week?
We don't necessarily need to. I was going to probably watch the animated one because this one has nothing to do with any of the movies.
Okay. Because this is before they became.
This is an all new, made up before thing. Showing like Optimus Prime and Megatron before they were the Optimus Prime and Megatron, and
also coming out to theaters this week. I'm kind of excited, but I'm also tired of seeing the trailer, so I just want to see this movie.
Yeah,
it's the movie Speak No Evil. This is the one with Professor X, James McAvoy, not Professor X, James McAvoy. Remember, if you see in the trailer, him and his family meet this other family on vacation. Like, hey, come over to our mountain villa. Right, which first of all, when you meet strangers on vacation, do not go to their house. That's weird.
Give them a couple days, then go to their house.
But it's the one where strange things start to happen. And remember, he starts yelling at the little boy, and the little boy shows us he has no tongue. So did someone cut out his tongue? And then they start acting weird, and they're like, "Oh, you said you were a doctor." He's like, "I did. When did I say that?" And I'm just like,
well, but then he came back and he goes, "I'm kidding, I am."
No. Creepiness is happening. He's good at being creepy, by the way.
Oh, he is.
So I'm excited to see that one. Also coming out in theaters, the movie you mentioned, The Killer's Game. This is the one with Dave Bautista and Scott Adkins. Dave Bautista, from what we gather in the trailer, is an assassin, and he finds out he's dying from cancer or something. So he puts out he puts out a hit on himself just to end it all. But then finds out they made a mistake.
It's got Marco Zerrar. It's got Sophia Boutella, Terry Crews. I used to like.
Yeah. Why does it say Ice Cube?
Who?
Ice Cube.
Ice Cube.
Ice Cube. Terry Crews.
I
have no idea. Maybe he's doing something.
I don't think he is, but.
Coming out on video, demand, and digital, a sci-fi thriller called Subservience.
Oh, that's the Megan Fox one.
Yeah, yes, Megan Fox, a struggling father, purchases a sim, who is Fox, she's a sim, to help take care of the house and the family. But then, of course, she gains awareness and she turns deadly because you should not let robots run your house.
So it sounds like that other movie that came out that didn't do very well.
Correct. The one with the would you like to see me in person? Coming out to Netflix on Friday. I will be watching this with my child. It is a movie called Uglies, based on the book series.
Why are you watching with your child?
Because Mackenzie reads the book series and she recommended it.
Have you read the series?
I have not, but she said, watch the show or the movie and then I'll read the book. She's going to pass me the books. So it's called Uglies. It's a dystopian future where kids at the age of 16 go through a surgery to become a pretty. And until then, they're called uglies. So this girl has to decide, is she going to do it or not? She's feeling the pressure to do it. And she finds out that is a group of rebels that are like, we're not doing this surgery. We're going to fight the system. So if you're into that, there you go. If you've read the series,
if you're into fighting the system, it gets ugly, people.
Well, and I don't think it's Joey King. She's a cute little girl.
It's who?
That Joey King girl. She's cute.
Oh yeah.
Also on Video Demand and Digital on Friday, a movie called Hereafter. It's a thriller. Claire is overjoyed when her daughter
that's what I told you
is miraculously revived after a fatal accident. But you know, when people come back from the dead, something strange is going to happen. So it says something dark has followed her daughter back from the brink of death.
Never the same.
I know. Let's see. Video Demand and Digital, The Lies We Tell. In an isolated manner, an orphaned heiress must fight her guardian for her inheritance. Let's see what else is happening. I think that's it coming out this week. So I think the big one's probably going to be that Transformers and Speak No Evil or Killer's Game. I don't know. We've got lots to choose from. So check it out. Tell us about the contest, babe.
I just wanted to open them back up. Sorry.
All right. Let me show them on the screen.
We got not a lot of new stuff. A lot of stuff we've already seen. As I mentioned earlier, we got copies of Watchman Chapter 1 on 4K, as well as, out of the blue, Justice League Crisis on Infinite Earth Part 3 that we talked about some months back.
Yeah.
But they had a delay in the warehouse stuff, and they just finally showed up. So we have copies of those to give away now. Inside Out 2, we've got a couple of digital copies left.
Good movie.
If you haven't checked that. If we have some copies of that left on 4K. We also have some copies of The Watchers and of Furiosa of Mad Max Saga.
Furiosa.
We have a couple of other giveaways that are going to be popping up here pretty soon.
Yep. All right. So that's it for us, folks. Thank you so much for watching this week's episode of Hollywood Matrimony Live. We will see you next week.